Enid Blyton, A Faraway Tree Adventure, The Land of Birthdays. Chapter 1, Beth's Birthday. The children were on their way to the enchanted wood to celebrate Beth's birthday. They knew the way to the faraway tree very well by now. Whoosh, 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 whispered the trees as the children ran between them. Beth put her arms round one and pressed her left ear to the trunk. "What secret are you saying today?" she asked. "We wish you a happy birthday," whispered the leaves. Beth laughed. It was fun to have a birthday. When they came to the faraway tree, how marvelous it looked! The folk of the tree had bedecked it with lots of little brightly colored flags because it was Beth's birthday, and it looked simply lovely. "Ooh," said Beth, pleased. "I do feel happy. The only thing I wish is that I had proper party clothes on, not my old ones." But that couldn't be helped. They were just about to climb the tree when Dame Washlot's big washing basket came bumping down on the end of Moonface's rope for the children to get into. "Good," said Joe. "Get in, girls." They all got in and went up the tree at a tremendous rate. "Moonface must have someone helping him to pull," said Joe, astonished. He had. Mr. Whiskers was there with What's-his-name and the old saucepan man, and they were all pulling like anything. No wonder the basket shut up the tree. "Many happy returns of the day," said everyone, kissing Beth. "Oh, good! You're not in your best clothes," said Moonface. "We wondered if you would make it a fancy dress party, Beth." "Oh, I'd love to," said Beth, "but we haven't got any fancy dress." "We can easily get that in the birthday land," said Silky, clapping her hands for joy. "Good, good, good! I do like a fancy dress party." "Everybody is ready to go," said Moonface. "The elves are just below us. Where's Saucepan Man? Hey, Saucepan, where have you got to?" "He stepped into your slippery slip by mistake," said an elf, appearing out of Moonface's house. "He went down the slide with an awful noise. I expect he's at the bottom by now." "Good gracious! Just like silly old Saucepan," said Moonface. "We'd better let down the washing basket for him, or he'll never get up to us." So down went the washing basket again, and old Saucepan got into it and came up with a clatter of saucepans and kettles. "Now, are we really all ready?" said Moonface. "Silky, What's-his-name, Saucepan, the Angry Pixie, Dame Washlot, Mr. Whiskers, the elves—" "Goodness, what a lovely lot of people are coming," said Beth, seeing all the elves and the tree folk on the branches below. "Is that Dame Washlot? What a nice old woman!" Dame Washlot was beaming happily, for once she was going to leave her wash tub. Going to the land of birthdays was not a treat to be missed. "Come on, then," said Moonface, and he led the way up the ladder. Up he went, popped his head above to make quite sure that the land of birthdays was there, and then jumped straight into it. Everyone climbed up. "That's all, I think," said Moonface, peering down. "Oh, no, there's someone else. Whoever is it? I thought we were all here." "Goodness, it's my clock," said Silky, "the one I got in the land of Take What You Want." Sure enough it was. "Ding dong, ding dong," it cried indignantly, as it climbed up on its flat feet. All right, we'll wait for you," said Silky. "Go carefully up the ladder. You weren't really asked, you know." "Oh, I'd love your clock to come to my party," said Beth at once. "Come along, clock." "Ding dong," said the clock, pleased, and managed to get up the ladder. Chapter 2, The Birthday Feast. The land of birthdays was simply beautiful. To begin with, there was always birthday weather there, brilliant sunshine, blue sky, and a nice little breeze. The trees were always green, and there were always daisies and buttercups growing in the fields. "Oh, it's lovely," cried Beth, dancing around joyfully. "Moonface, what about our fancy dress? Where do we get that?" "Oh, you'll find everything in that house over there," said Moonface, pointing to a very pretty house. They all trooped over to it. As they went, small brown rabbits hopped out of holes, called "A happy birthday" to Beth, and popped back inside. It was all very exciting. Everyone crowded into the pretty house. It was full of cupboards, and in the cupboards were the most thrilling costumes you can think of. "Oh, look at this!" cried Joe as he came across a sailor's outfit with a smart hat that had blue, white, and gold on it. just like the captain of a ship. Just the right size for me. He put it on. Beth chose a dress like a fairy's, and Franny chose a clown's costume with a pointed hat. She looked just like the real thing. Moonface dressed up as a pirate, and Silky became a daffodil. What's his name was a policeman, and as for the old saucepan man, he simply could not find a costume to fit him, because he was so bumpy with kettles and saucepans. Everyone dressed up, and oh my, they did look convincing. Beth had wings with her dress, but she was disappointed because she couldn't fly with them. How she would have loved to spread her wings and fly as the real fairies did. Now for balloons, said Silky. And she danced into the sunshine and ran to an old balloon seller who was sitting surrounded by a great cloud of colored balloons. Everybody chose one, and what games they had! Suddenly a bell rang, and Moonface gave a shout of joy. Birthday feast! Come on, everyone! He rushed to a long, long table set out in the field. Beth ran with the others and took her place at the head of the table. But to her great surprise and disappointment, there was no food on the table at all, just empty plates, cups, and glasses. Don't look so upset, whispered Silky. You've got to wish your own birthday feast. Beth gave a squeak. Wish her own birthday feast? Ooh, that would be the best fun in the world. Don't wish for bread and butter, called Moonface. Wish for an ice cream sundae. I like those. I wish for an ice cream sundae, said Beth at once, and immediately the biggest, tallest sundae you ever saw appeared on one of those empty plates. Moonface helped himself. Wish for strawberries and ice cream, called Franny, who simply loved that. I wish for strawberries and ice cream, said Beth, and an enormous dish of strawberries appeared with a large tub of vanilla ice cream beside it. And I wish for chocolate cake too, and fruit salad, yelled someone. Donuts, cried what's-his-name. Cheese sandwiches, begged Mr. Whiskers. Ding dong, said Silky's clock in the greatest excitement. Everyone laughed. Don't wish for ding dong, said Joe. We've got plenty of those as long as Silky's clock is here. The clock chimed 14 times without stopping. It wandered about looking as happy as could be. Everyone began to eat. My goodness, it was a wonderful feast. The strawberries and ice cream and the sundae went almost at once, for Mr. Whiskers and 50 elves decided that they liked those very much too. So Beth had to wish for some more. What about my birthday cake? She asked Silky. Do I wish for that too? No, it just comes, said Silky. It will appear right in the middle of the table. You just watch. Beth watched. There was a wonderful silver dish in the middle of the table. Something seemed to be forming there. A curious sort of mist hung over it. The birthday cake is coming, shouted Joe, and everyone watched the silver dish. Gradually, a great cake shaped itself there. Oh, a wonderful cake with red, pink, white, and yellow decorations made from sugar and shaped like little flowers. On the top were 8 candles burning, for Beth was 8 that day. Her name was written in big sugar letters on the top. Beth, a very happy birthday. Beth felt very proud. She had to cut the cake, of course. It was quite a difficult job, for there were so many people to cut a slice for. This is a wishing cake, said Moonface, when everyone had a piece on their plate. So wish, wish, wish when you eat it, and your wish will come true. The children stared at him in delight. What should they wish? Franny was just holding a cake in her hand, thinking of a wish, when the old saucepan man upset everything. Whatever do you think he did? Chapter 3. The Little Lost Island. Wouldn't you like to wish? Said Moonface, turning to the old saucepan man, who was just about to bite into his cake. Fish? Said the saucepan man in delight. Yes, I'd love to fish. I wish we were all fishing for fine fat fishes in the middle of the sea. Well, what a wish to make just as he was eating a wishing cake, for he hadn't heard Moonface properly. Anyway, the wish immediately came true. A wind blew down and lifted up the whole crowd of guests at the table. Sitting on their chairs, clinging tightly, they flew through the air for miles. Whatever was happening? Down flew the chairs in the big wind. A shower of salt spray drenched everyone. Joe gasped and looked down. Bump! He and everyone else landed on soft sand, rolled off their chairs and sat up, blinking in surprise. The long-bearded elves looked frightened. Moonface kept opening and shutting his mouth like a fish. He was so astonished. Joe was cross, and so was the angry pixie. "Now what's happened?" said Dame Marshallot in a most annoyed voice. "Why have we come here?" Look at all those fishing rods," said Silky. She pointed to a whole row of rods standing in the sand with their fishing lines in the water. "Waiting for us," groaned Moonface silly. "Old Saucepan Man didn't hear what I said about wishing. He thought I said fishing, and he wished us all here, fishing in the sea." "Goodness!" said Beth, alarmed. "Where are we, then?" "I think we're on the little lost island," said Silky, looking around. "It's a funny little place, always floating about and getting lost. But there's always good fishing to be had from it." "Fishing! Ugh!" said Joe in disgust. "Who wants to go fishing in the middle of a birthday party? Let's get back at once." "Ding dong," said Silky's clock, walking about at the edge of the sea and getting its feet wet in the waves. "Come back, clock," called Silky. "You know you can't swim." The clock came back and wiped its feet on the grass that grew around. Beth thought it was a remarkably sensible clock, and she wished she had one like it. "You know, we really must do something about getting back to the land of birthdays," said Joe, getting up and looking around the little island. "What can we do? Is there a boat here?" There was nothing except the fishing rods. Nobody even touched them, for they didn't feel in the least like fishing. The little lost island was just a hilly stretch of green grass, and nothing else whatsoever. "I really don't know what to do," said Moonface, frowning. "Do you, Mr. Whiskers?" Mr. Whiskers was dressed up like Santa Claus, and looked very fine indeed with his long beard. He rubbed his nose thoughtfully and shook his head. "The difficulty is," he said, "that none of us has any magic with him, because we're all in fancy dress, and our other clothes are in the land of birthdays. So the spells and magic we keep in our pockets are not here." "Well, we shan't starve," said what's his name. "We can always fish." "Fancy eating fish and nothing but fish always," said Joe, making a face. "When I think of all those lovely things that Beth wished for, and nobody to eat them now, really I could cry." Franny had something in her hand, and she looked down to see what it was. It was a piece of the birthday cake. Good! She could eat that at any rate. She lifted the delicious cake to her mouth and took a nibble. "What are you eating?" asked Moonface, bending over to see. "A bit of the birthday cake," said Franny, cramming all of it into her mouth. "Don't eat it! Don't swallow it!" yelled Moonface suddenly, dancing around Franny as if he had gone quite mad. "Stop! Don't swallow!" Franny stared at him in astonishment. So did everyone else. "What's gone wrong with Moonface?" asked Silky anxiously. Franny stood still with her mouth full of birthday cake, looking with amazement at Moonface. "What's the matter?" she asked with her mouth full. "You've got a bit of the wishing cake in your mouth, Franny," shouted Moonface, hopping first on one leg and then on the other. "Wish, dear girl, wish." "What shall I wish?" said Franny. "Wish us back to the land of birthdays, of course," yelled everyone in excitement. "Oh," said Franny, "I didn't think of that. I wish we were all back in the land of birthdays enjoying our feast." Chapter 4. Wishes for Everyone. Darkness fell round everyone very suddenly. No wind came this time. Moonface put out his hand and took Silky's. What was happening? Then daylight came back again, and everyone gave a shout of surprise and delight. They were back in the land of birthdays! Yes, there was the table in front of them, and more chairs to sit down on, and the same delicious food as before. "Oh, good, good, good!" shouted everyone, and sat down at once. They beamed at one another, very thankful to be back from the little lost island. What a strange little adventure, said Joe, helping himself to a large piece of wishing cake. Please be careful what you wish, everybody. We don't want any more adventures like that in the middle of a party. I wish that my wings could fly, said Beth, as she munched her cake, and at once her wings spread themselves out, and she rose into the air like a big butterfly, flying beautifully. Oh, it was the loveliest feeling in the world. Look at me, she cried, and everyone looked. Franny called out to her, Don't fly too far, Beth, don't fly too far. Beth soon flew down to the table again, her cheeks red with excitement and joy. This was the loveliest birthday party she had ever had. Everybody wished their wishes except the old saucepan man, who had already wasted his. Franny, too, had wished her wish when she was on the little lost island, but when she looked upset because she had lost her wish, Moonface whispered to her, Don't be upset. Tell me what you really wanted to wish, and I'll wish it for you. I don't want a wish for myself. Oh, Moonface, you are kind, said Franny. Well, if you really mean it, I did want a doll that could walk and talk. Easy, said Moonface at once. I wish that Franny had a doll that walks and talks. And at that very moment Silky cried out in wonder and pointed behind her. Everyone looked. Coming along on small plump legs was a doll, beautifully dressed in blue, with a bag in its hand. It walked to Franny and looked up at her. Oh, you look lovely, beautiful doll, cried Franny in the greatest delight, and she lifted the doll onto her knee. It cuddled up to her and said, I belong to you. I'm your own doll. My name is Perenelle. What a sweet name, said Franny, hugging the doll. What have you got in that bag, Perenelle? All my other clothes, said the doll, and opened her bag. Inside were night dresses, a dressing gown, an overcoat, a raincoat, overalls, dresses, and all kinds of other clothes. Franny was simply delighted. What did you wish, Joe? asked Beth. Joe was looking all around and about as if he expected something to arrive at any moment. I wish for a pony of my own, said Joe. Oh, look, here it comes. What a beauty! A little black pony with a white mark on its forehead and 4 white feet came trotting up to the party. It went straight to Joe. My own little pony, cried the little boy in delight. Let me ride you. I shall call you Midnight Star, for the little white star on your black coat. He jumped on the pony's back, and together they went galloping round the land of birthdays. Now let's play games, cried Moonface, capering about. And as soon as he said that, the table vanished and music began to play. Musical chairs, shouted Silky, as the chairs suddenly put themselves together in a long row. Come on, everybody. Chapter 5, Games and Presents. The party went on and on. The game of musical chairs was fun, for instead of somebody taking a chair away each time the music stopped, the chair took itself away, walked neatly off, and stood watching. Silky won that game. She was so quick and light on her feet. A big box of chocolates came flying down through the air to her when she sat down on the very last chair and pushed Moonface away. She was delighted. Let's all have one, she said, and opened the box at once. Whilst they were eating, they saw a most astonishing sight. Look, said Moonface, almost swallowing his chocolate in astonishment. What's this coming? Everyone looked. It seemed like a lot of brightly colored men running very upright. What do you suppose they were? Birthday presents, shouted What's-his-name, jumping off his seat in delight. Presents running to us, ready to be unwrapped. Really, those presents were the greatest fun. They were like gift wrap boxes on tiny legs, dodging away, trying not to be caught. Everyone ran after them, laughing and shouting. One by one, the happy little boxes were caught, and then they were unwrapped and opened. My goodness, what special things there were inside! I've got a brooch in the shape of the faraway tree, cried Franny, pinning it on herself. I want one too, said her doll. Well, you must catch a present then, Perenelle, said Franny, and how she laughed to see her doll running about after a red birthday present box. Perenelle caught one at last and brought it back to Franny. Inside there was a teddy bear-shaped brooch which Perenelle was simply delighted with. Joe found a shining silver whistle inside his present. When he blew, it sounded just like all the birds in the enchanted wood. He was very happy with it. Moonface found a special squeaker that sounded just like a cat mewing and made the old saucepan man go hunting for cats all the time. Naughty Moonface! He pressed his squeaker behind the saucepan man and laughed till he cried to hear him calling, "Buzz, buzz, buzz," and looking under tables and chairs. Silky's clock wanted a present too, so it ran after one and trod on one to catch it. It held it with its foot and unwrapped it with Silky. What do you suppose was in it? A tiny can of oil? Just the thing to oil your clockwork wheels and springs with, said Silky in delight. The clock was very pleased. It chimed 22 times without stopping, much to the walking doll's astonishment. They played hide and seek, and immediately the most exciting bushes and trees sprang up everywhere to hide behind. Really, the birthday land was the most exciting country to be in. Then they played pin the tail on the donkey, and a giant toy donkey and a big fluffy tail appeared out of nowhere. Then they thought they would have races, and hey presto, they saw a crowd of small cars drive up, all ready to be raced. In got everyone, choosing the car they liked best. There was even a tiny one for Perenelle, the doll, and an extra one for Silky's clock, who joined in the fun and ding-donged merrily all the time. The old saucepan man won the race, though he dropped a few saucepans on the way. Moonface handed him a box of toffee that had appeared for the winner. "You've won," he said. "Run," said the saucepan man. "All right, I'll run," and he ran and ran just to show how fast he could run when he wanted to. What a noise he made with his kettles and saucepans clattering all around him. Supper time, shouted Moonface suddenly, and he pointed to a lovely sight. About 100 toadstools had suddenly grown up, and appearing in them were jugs of all kinds of delicious drinks and cakes and fruit. Smaller toadstools grew beside the big ones. "They are for seats," cried Silky, sitting down on one and helping herself to some aconade. "I'm hungry. Come on, everyone." Beth flew down from the air. She did love flying. Franny ran up with her doll, who followed her everywhere, talking in a little high voice. Joe galloped up on his pony. Everyone was happy. Chapter 6. Safe Back Home Again. It began to get dark, but nobody minded because big lanterns suddenly shone out everywhere in the trees and bushes. As they sat and ate, there came a loud bang bang. Perenelle cuddled up to Franny, frightened. Silky's clock tried to get on Silky's knee, scared, but she pushed it off. "What's that?" said Joe, patting his frightened pony. "Fireworks, fireworks!" shouted the angry pixie in delight. "Look, look!" And there in front of them were the fireworks, setting themselves off beautifully. Rockets flew high and sizzled down in the colored stars. Firework wheels whizzed round and round. Firecrackers popped and banged and jumped around. It was splendid to watch. "This is the loveliest birthday party I've ever heard of," said Beth happily, flapping her big wings as she sat and watched the fireworks. "Lovely things to eat, wishes that come true, exciting games, splendid presents, and now fireworks." "We have to go home at midnight," said Moonface, pushing away Silky's clock, which was trying to sit on his toadstool with him. "How shall we know when it's midnight?" asked Franny, thinking that it really was time her doll went to bed. They knew all right, because when midnight came, Silky's clock stood up and chimed loudly 12 times. "Dong, dong, 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 dong." To the ladder," cried Moonface, hurrying everyone there. "The birthday land will soon be on the move." The ladder was there. Everyone climbed down it and called goodbye. The elves took cushions and slid off down the slippery slip. Mr. Whiskers got his beard caught round one of the legs of Moonface's sofa and nearly took that with him down the slide. Moonface just stopped it in time and unwound his beard. "What about my pony?" asked Joe anxiously. "Do you suppose he will mind sliding down, Moonface?" "Well, he can't climb down the tree, and he certainly wouldn't like going down in the washing basket," said Moonface. So they sat the surprised pony on a cushion, and he slid down in the greatest astonishment, wondering what in the world was happening to him. Franny slid down with a sleepy doll on her knee. Beth carefully took off her wings and folded them up. She didn't want to have them spoiled. She wanted to use them every day. She was very proud of them. The pony arrived on the cushion of moss quite safely. Joe mounted him. It was dark in the wood, but the moon was just rising, and they would be able to see their way home quite well. "Goodbye," called Moonface from the top of the tree. "We've had a lovely time." "Goodbye," called Silky. "Ding dong," said a clock sleepily. "Take care of yourselves," shouted What's-his-name. Moonface pressed his squeaker loudly and then giggled to hear the saucepan man call, "Puss, puss, puss, where is that cat?" Slishy sloshy, slishy sloshy. Good gracious, was that Dame Washlet doing washing already? Joe dodged away on his pony, and the girls ran from the tree. Mr. Whiskers got the water all over him, for he was standing nearby, and he was most upset. "Come on, girls," said Joe, laughing. "We really must go home. We shall never wake up in the morning." So they went home once more through the enchanted wood, with the moon shining pale and cold between the trees. "Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh," whispered the leaves. Joe put his pony into the field outside the cottage. Franny undressed Perenelle and put her into her doll's bed. Beth put her wings carefully into a drawer. They all undressed and got sleepily into bed. "Good night," they said. "What a lovely day it's been. We are lucky to live near the enchanted wood." They were, weren't they? Perhaps they will have more adventures one day, but now we must say goodbye to them and leave them fast asleep, dreaming of the land of birthdays and all the lovely things that happened there. The end. It's one very